Ray Hadley is a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He's a good mate, and of course you can hear him on mornings on 2GB, 9 o'clock each and every Australian Eastern summer day. Now, you can also find him on the app, online and all the rest of it. There's the plugs out of the way. Lots to talk about with him, including, let's get in with the pre-conversation here. If The Voice does fail, how much of the responsibility is Anthony Albanese's, and what will the political hangover be for him?
Prime Minister's got to take responsibility. Now, all of a sudden, he said over the weekend, I won't legislate. Well, that's good to know, because that would be a terrible look to fail at a referendum, then to legislate what he wants to legislate. But you see, the folly here is Indigenous people, in my opinion, should be included in the Constitution. There's no doubt about that. And I think 99.9% of people, including people like Peter Dutton and Warren Mundine, Jacinta Price and others, agree with that. But the way it's been sold, and I'd say to people like Ray Martin, who's been a voice in the last week or so, or 2 weeks since that meeting at Marrickville, and, you know, yeah, I'm a dinosaur, I'm a the whole point about this is, if I could get hold of Ray Martin in his retirement years at 78, I'd say, look, it's nice that you finally had an opinion because you've got splinters in your arse for the last 30 years pretending that you're a balanced commentator. But I'd say this to him. You know, you say that we're dinosaurs and we're if we are talking about wanting more information. How many people are going to be on The Voice? Where do they come from? What's it going to cost? Where will they be based? Will they be like the NIAA, the National Indigenous Australian Agency, with 1,300 employees, 750 or more based in Canberra? I don't know that there are too many Indigenous problems in Canberra. Will they be like the Coalition of Peaks? $4 billion for the NIAA, goodness knows how much for the Coalition of Peaks. So what we'd have if The Voice is successful is a triumvirate of organisations competing for the all-important government dollar. And so all those details, if you go there on Saturday to vote, if you haven't already pre-polled, you want to know the answer to these questions. And I'd say to Ray Martin, when you last bought a property, like you bought a property many, many years ago up there at Coolum, did you just say to the lawyer, look, ask him how much it is and I'll give you the cheque, and let's not worry about contracts, let's not worry about formalities, let's just get it done? The answer would be no. The answer would be no, invariably. And yet here he is, espousing the fact that all those dinosaurs and that watch the Paul Murray program don't need to know the detail, because if it gets up, they'll tell us about it next week or the week after. I mean, it just doesn't stand to reason. And Bill Shorten, just interrupting you, Bill Shorten lost the unlosable election. This bloke has lost the unlosable referendum, Anthony Albanese. It should have been through, and it shouldn't have had The Voice attached to it. It should have been enshrined to the Constitution, and it should not have been part of a triumvirate of Indigenous bodies joining the NIAA and the Coalition of Peaks with yet another one called The Voice. Look, you look at Prime Ministers. John Howard's legacy after Port Arthur was the guns. Yep. Julia Gillard, the Royal Commission into Child Abuse. Malcolm Turnbull, his legacy is he left. Kevin Rudd, the apology. I mean, every Prime Minister wants to leave a legacy, and Albo, don't think that the Labor Party won't come gunning for him. The news poll says he's losing support. The honeymoon's over. Bill Shorten, Tanya Plibersek, they'd love to be Prime Minister. They'd love to be. And this could be his Waterloo. He might be much more available to go and watch the Rabbitohs next year, because he mightn't be the Prime Minister this time next year, and it'll be predicated on this. And for this, I mean, you watch, success has many fathers. Failure has none. You watch next week as the duck shoves the blame somewhere else. It'll be, oh, cop this, the dummy. It wasn't my fault. I tried to tell them that we should enshrine it to the Constitution, but we shouldn't attach The Voice to it. The Makarrata, we shouldn't do that. I mean, so at the end of the day, he'll have to cop the blame for this, because in my lifetime, and probably in your lifetime as a younger man than me, this will never be visited again. The referendum for the Republic failed in 1999. It won't happen again, maybe for another 20 years. This one will fail the way the polls look, and if it does fail, it's at the feet of the Prime Minister, who couldn't sell it and couldn't create atmosphere. We've had 44 referenda since Federation. 8 have been successful, which means 36 have failed. The 8 that have been successful have had bipartisan support. You don't need to be a Rhodes Scholar or a genius to know you need bipartisan support for a referendum to pass. He didn't get that from the opposition, nor would he ever get it from the opposition, because he sold them a pup and they wouldn't accept the pup.
And just finally, I mean, again, I know that we know what the script's going to be here, right? Talkback Radio, News Corporation, and evil Peter Dutton. Otherwise, if anyone didn't see anything else, this would be what it was. But what about the political judgment of Peter Dutton? He wouldn't get pushed into the job summit. He said, no, this is just going to be just an opportunity, a smokescreen to give the unions what they want. He didn't end up falling into yes because there would be electoral consequences. He picked a side, and that side now looks like it's going to end up getting there. You're a bloke who talks to him every single week, and maths always works against a first-term opposition leader. But his judgment has been proven to be correct multiple times for where the majority of Australian people end up being. I think Albo and Labor would be very silly if they think that they can do Peter Dutton off by just putting the Ooga Booga music and the scary faces on posters at the next election.
Well, the Prime Minister said in Parliament that I go soft every Thursday on Peter Dutton. I'll tell you one thing about Peter Dutton, Anthony. He fronts up every Thursday. You have not given me an interview since you became Prime Minister. Before you were Prime Minister, you gave me an interview. You won't give me an interview. You go for the soft touch wherever you can. You won't come on my program because you're scared of what I'll ask. You've been shown to be ill-informed, lacking in knowledge prior to the election about a whole range of issues, and I'd do you like a dinner to pinch one from Paul Keating if in fact you'd ever come on the program.